This is Michael Spedden, and welcome to Fowl Players Radio, your one-stop shop for all of your pop culture needs. We feature interviews from musicians, actors, comics, dancers, authors, and much, much more, up-and-coming artists and beloved favorites. We've got it all, people on stage, backstage, out front, and behind the scenes. Sit back and relax. Let's have some fun.
Hi, folks. This is Jay David, and you're listening to Fowl Players Radio.
Hey, Mary Jo Peel here, and you are listening to Fowl Players Radio.
And welcome back to Fowl Players Radio. Michael Spedden here. And tonight's guest was Red Rain. We had Sammy Lee, the drummer, come on and talk about some band history, their brand new album that's out. And they're going to be touring with LA Guns. They're going to be coming to Ram's Head on stage in Annapolis on April the 29th. And they've got a few other dates with LA Guns coming up, through May 4th. And then, keep an eye on their website. Their website is redrainband.com. And rain is spelled like R-E-I-G-N, redrainband.com. You can also find their merchandise on decoentertainment.com. That's D-E-K-O entertainment.com. I had a great time talking to Sammy. Not only did we talk about what's going on now with their tour and their new album, a couple of trips down memory lane, talking about, the whole experience of being a musician, in up-and-coming bands, starting out young, and just the whole experience. And I think you'll really enjoy our conversation. Remember, redrainband.com. And when you go there, we're going to put links to everything in the show notes so you can find everything about them. We'll also put links to all their social media pages, where to get their merch, their tour dates, and everything else. So enjoy the episode. Don't forget the Fowl Players of Perryville are out doing murder mysteries now. If you go to fowlplayersofperryville.com, go to our calendar, you'll find all of our dates lined up, and we do have a lot of them in lots of venues in Maryland, Virginia, New Jersey, Pennsylvania coming up. So keep your eyes open for that, folks. We'll be back right after these words with Sammy Lee from Red Rain.
Hey there, it's Mark Slaughter of the band Slaughter, and you're listening to Fowl Players Radio with Michael Spedden. Right here, crank it up, baby.
Hi, this is Randy Jackson from Zebra, and you're listening to Fowl Players Radio.
And welcome back to Fowl Players Radio. Michael Spedden here. We are in season 12 of Fowl Players Radio, and today we have Sammy Lee, drummer from Red Rain. Red Rain is out touring right now with LA Guns, and they're from Richmond, Virginia, a Mid-Atlantic band, and I'm glad to have them on today. Sammy, welcome to the show.
I appreciate you having me, Michael. Thank you very much.
So you guys are just full of good news. You're out touring with LA Guns. You've just put out a killer album.
Thank you.
And last year you were out with Nazareth, and we could talk about all your touring that you've done in the past and everything. You've really played with some cool bands, and having been in the Mid-Atlantic music scene for a long time as I have, I'm sure once we get talking, we probably know a lot of the same people.
Could be. You're right.
Could well be. I mean, because they call it Smaltimore up here, but I'm sure the whole Mid-Atlantic, that one person leads to another, like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, I think.
That's
so.
Very true. Very true.
So tell us what's going on right now. Currently you've got a lot of great stuff going on. So I'm not sure where to begin. So I'll let you decide that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as you said, we're getting ready to pack up and get on the road with LA Guns, and we're very excited about that. We got a nice little run going. I'll give you a couple of the cities we're going to be in. We're in Warrendale, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to be in Tonawanda, New York. And then we couldn't be more excited. We're going to be hitting Baltimore, or Annapolis, excuse me, at Ram's Head on stage.
On stage.
And
Yeah.
then we go to oh my gosh, I forgot. We go to Pennsylvania, Ardmore Music Hall in Pennsylvania, and then we come right back down to Tally Ho in Leesburg, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And We finish our run with LA Guns at Virginia Beach, elevation 27. And that happens the period of April 22nd through May 4th. All those dates are in there.
Yeah, yeah, that's a short amount of time, but you're really getting around quite a bit here in the Mid-Atlantic region, New York, PA, Maryland, Virginia.
Yep.
Some great rooms too, I know Ram's Head very well. I know Tally Ho very well.
Yep.
A couple of them I've been to, but I haven't been there a lot. But it sounds like you've got some great rooms, a great band to open for, and you've got a great album to support. So things seem like they're really going Red Rain's way right now.
They are. We're again, we've been before this album we had a 5-song EP that we toured for 3 years on that EP.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
crazy. And some of these places, on this tour, we're really lucky because out of the 6 states we're playing one club we've played a couple times. Every other room is new, and that's really exciting to us.
Mm-hmm.
New people, sort of new towns. So we're really excited about that. But yes, it's we're ready to go. I mean, it's 3 weeks away, but we're still ready to go.
It sounds like it. It really sounds like it. And again, some of these rooms, Ram's Head on stage, very familiar with that room. I've emceed quite a bit with 97 Underground, brought a couple of bands on the stage there. Really had a good time with Zebra when they were there.
I love Zebra.
Everybody loves Zebra. And they're out celebrating, 40 years of their first album. They were out doing like a 40th year anniversary. And I think this year may be 50 years of existence for them. So I think they started in 75. One thing that was kind of fun with them, and I'll tell you this story here. I'm 6'6". Okay. And when I went out to introduce them, they said, I was on the side of the stage manager says, use Felix's mic, Felix Hanneman, the bass player. All right. Felix is all about, I think he's probably about 5'5". Okay. So I walked out onto the stage, the crowd's there. They see me walk out. So they know something's probably about to happen. They've been waiting for the band. I come out, I stand in front of his microphone and it hits me right in the sternum. Okay. So I'm looking at the crowd. They're looking at me and I bend down and I said, they're a great band, but not a very tall one, apparently. And, the guys in Zebra love that. And then later on, about a year later when they were at Tally Ho, they asked me to do the same thing and they let me hang out backstage. But
that's great.
You had mentioned earlier too, when we were speaking that a lot of these, a lot of the older bands that, you and I grew up with that are out touring now, they're doing, some of the medium to, bigger clubs.
Correct.
And just as gracious as they can be. I mean, you agree, right?
I agree. Very, very much so.
Yeah, just very gracious, very friendly, accommodating, remembering where they came from.
Yeah, I think again, I can't speak for them, but I think it's kind of like a full circle moment.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's funny because I'm a big Van Halen fan.
Of course.
Big monster Van Halen fan. And I actually just saw an interview with Alex Van Halen, and he was saying that if he had, I don't have this verbatim, so somebody would have to excuse me, and I'm sure somebody's going to tell me I don't know. But I remember they asked him, like, out of all the, the years, like, what were the best years? And he said the best years were the beginning years, because in the bars it was so intimate, the people were right there.
Yeah, yeah.
And and I wasn't lucky enough to play arenas, but we enjoy. It's really funny at being a drummer that I'm right there and you can just see people. It's I don't know. There's something that's I don't know how to explain it. There's just something that's kind of rocking about that. You know what I mean?
I know what you're saying. I understand.
As long as it's a stand-up venue, some of these venues are a little more sit down, and that makes it a little tough. But you work through it. But yeah, so.
Yeah, it depends though too, because once you become men of a certain age, sitting is more than welcomed. It's it's the thing is, when you go out to see shows, I can remember I saw Cheap Trick a few years ago, and people are walking out of there, and it sounded like you were walking down the halls of an old age home. Everybody's like, "Oh, my back, oh, my legs, oh, my knees, oh God, I'm gonna go." And it takes a couple of days to recover from it. You walk out of there, your back's killing you for 2 days. Your ankles are the size of telephone poles, and so seated shows are very welcome. I would say.
I get that, but listen, I'm spoiled because I sit no matter what. As a drummer, you're
yeah. Hey, there you go.
But I actually before this band, my singer and myself were in another band that actually opened for Cheap Trick.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But that was an outdoor pavilion event here in Richmond, and so I don't know. Listen, when I go see shows, I don't sit.
Right.
Don't blame anybody who does, and that's the way the venue is, and that's cool with me too. We're just lucky to be on their stage, so
yeah,
can't complain.
That's a good thing. I understand. It's good to be able to stand too and walk around, but the problem is that if you do need to sit, the minute you do that, you may as well kiss your seat goodbye, because that stool's going to become devoured by something. Either it's like the Bermuda Triangle. It just disappears, never to be seen again.
Very true, very true. And listen, I get it. I mean, listen, it's different time, and you're right. But listen, I don't care where we play. We're very excited that venues allow us to play there. We're very excited that the bands allow us to play in front of them. So I don't care. I don't care if there's one person there or 100,000 people there. We're gonna do the same show every night.
Well, wonderful, and it's and kind of speaking about the thing what we were sort of talking about here too. As a musician, I'm sure your first couple of gigs, especially when you're younger, you get out there, you're playing at some high school thing, coffee house, somewhere. You're like, oh God, I got to get to a bigger room. And then you kind of envy the other bands that are playing the bigger clubs. You finally get to that, and if you go bigger from there, if you get a chance to do an arena or even like, I guess a semi arena, you could call it, maybe a couple thousand as compared to 10 or 15,000.
Sure.
But then like you mentioned, coming back full circle to where, years have gone by, and, you're glad that people remember what you did and think fondly enough to sacrifice their backs and ankles and come out and see you, especially if it's a weeknight.
Correct.
It is great to have that intimate feeling, and getting a chance to talk to folks and everything is something I've always enjoyed too.
Yeah, and we do as well. We kind of cherish that, believe it or not. I mean, the playing's one thing, and and we just like meeting new people, and every show we play, we play, and then we throw our stuff in the back, basically behind the stage, so it doesn't bother anybody.
Yep.
And we run to our merchandise table, and anybody who wants to come say hi, we'll sit there and we'll talk and talk and talk, obviously till the next band goes on.
Sure.
But it's a great feeling when you meet new people and you can go to a new city and make new friends. I know some people are like, hey, I can't wait to see our fans again. We don't have fans, we have friends. That's what we say. Can't wait to see our friends again. And so when we go to a new town, can't wait to meet new friends. And so that's important to us. It really is. And we're very keen and very focused on that.
It makes you feel good when you see people, especially if they're not from your town.
Right.
You have your friends of the band, people that and everything when you're playing in your hometown. But when you have folks that come out to see you that are away from your home, that's really something special, isn't it?
It really is. But see, here's the funny part about that. We don't play our hometown.
Right. Yeah.
Because Red Rain does not play a cover song.
Yep.
Red Rain is 100% all original music. So we have this new album out. We had an EP out, and there are some songs that we have not put down on tape or vinyl that we sometimes we'll play live as well.
Right.
So we do have we probably have a good we do have a good hour and a half set list if we needed.
Mm-hmm.
But so when you do go outside of your town and you meet people and people, just anybody, anybody who likes your music is very important. And it's like building a house one brick at a time.
Mm-hmm. It sure is. It sure is. So you have recently put out a great album.
Thank you.
A great album. And this
You
is,
think so?
yeah, hey, I think so too. I think
Thank
so
you.
too. I was listening to it and I've been giving you some spins on 97 Underground, which you should all be listening to, by the way, when this isn't on. Take a break and listen to this, but then go back to 97 Underground as you should, right, people?
Right.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
All
He
agree.
agrees. Sammy agrees.
Yep.
Listen to him.
I listen to it all the time.
When you put out an album like Red Rain just has, you can't be wrong. So listen to Sammy, So your brand new album, now you had mentioned, that before you had toured and done a number of shows for a number of years with the smaller, like a less song, 5-song EP is what the term I was looking for.
Correct.
Now, how about this latest album? And you can also tell us about a special guest that you've had on it too.
So yeah, so this album, we were touring. I'll back up a little bit. We were touring from about 2017 to 2019, on and off,
Mm-hmm.
with bigger bands. I'll mention one of them, which was Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
So we toured with Tesla, again, 2017, 18, 19, other bands as well, but those were the bigger runs. And then of course COVID hit, and so it gave. Unfortunately, there was nothing good about COVID. I think we all know that. So, in your darkest hours or in or things that look bleak, you always look for the one ray of sunshine.
Sure.
So, in this bleak time, the one ray of sunshine for us was to slow down a little bit, be able to write new material, obviously for the new album, which Bubba McMichael, our lead singer, does a lot of the writing.
Mm-hmm.
The other two guys come in and add their input. I don't do a lot of the writing. I do more of the business management stuff for the band. But this album was really written about COVID. The songs really coincide with COVID. And then one of the songs, which is Don't Look Back, and I'll give you a little bit. Don't Look Back is really where in COVID, where everybody's isolated, you look back at your life, and maybe see the positives or the negatives, however you want to reflect and say, okay, once COVID's over, I'm going to move this way and maybe start making new memories, whether they're bad or good, or bad decisions, good decisions. But so Don't Look Back is like, you know what? It's time to move forward. In saying that, we felt like when we were doing this album, like, what do we do to kind of make a splash?
Mm-hmm.
And I have some very good friends over at the Classic Metal Show, which is Chris Aiken and Neely.
Sure.
They are very friendly they are very, very close and friendly with the Dokken camp.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was spitballing with Neely one night, who I generally talk to once a week or once every 2 weeks. And I said I needed to make the splash. And I just kind of poked around like, hey, could you talk to maybe George? And he said, done. And Neely has just been one of those guys that I've always, I've known him since, God, my God, 2004. And every time if I ask him something, and I don't ask favors from a lot of people, but
sure, yeah.
When he said it was done, I felt good about it. It got done, and George Lynch is on the song.
He did great too. I mean, it's a great sounding song,
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
George definitely went to town for you, huh?
He really did. And again, you and I kind of were talking a little bit earlier, but if you're going to get a George Lynch, you got to get George Lynch. You got to get what made George Lynch George Lynch. And so I felt like we got what we asked and then some.
And that you did.
Yes.
You did. Well worth listening to. And of course, you can get the Red Rain album off of your website. You want to tell us the website address?
Actually, if you want to buy the album, you could at Deco Entertainment. That is our label. They have a whole merchandise section where if you'd like to get a vinyl, a CD, that's where you would buy the merchandise. Or if you come to a live show, we have all that.
Sure. Okay.
Minus the vinyl. We don't have any more vinyl right at the moment. But if you want to take a listen to what we do, we're on every downloadable site. Obviously, we're on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Google Music, and I know there's a bunch more out there that I don't know the names of. But anything where you can download music on site, and then our website is redrainband.com, which is REIGN. RedRainBand.com is that. We're on Facebook as Red Rain Band. We're on Instagram as Red Rain Band. Everything's Red Rain Band. So we're everywhere. We're on YouTube. You can see videos. We have some videos out that we've done. So just come check us out. And again, I explained to everybody, we might not be the band for you, but you won't know till you take a listen.
Sure. And I think they will be. I think they will be. And one thing I wanted to ask you to clarify too, Deco, DEKO.
DEKO Entertainment.
Entertainment. Okay. DEKO, Deco Entertainment. And listeners, all this information will be in the show notes, so when you watch this on YouTube, or if you go to the audio version on our website, fowlplayersradio.com, you'll see all this information there. So you'll be able to get these links, so you can get yourself some Red Rain,
Yes.
But when
and I would like to mention too, a lot of the photos that are taken of us and some of our photo shoots, we look like this really heavy metal band. We're not a heavy metal band. I tell people this all the time. We are, I kind of coined this phrase, and it's a phrase that's been out there, but I use it. We're American rock and roll band. That's what we consider
accurate.
Ourselves. That's what we consider ourselves. We're not hard. I mean, we're a melodic hard rock American rock and roll band.
Right.
Because, when you think of heavy metal, look, heavy metal's changed over the years.
Yes, it has.
AC back in the day was heavy metal, right?
Oh yeah, UFO and all. Yeah,
UFO,
I know what you're talking
Van
about.
Halen, Zeppelin was heavy metal at one point. So
Uriah Heep, yeah.
Uriah, yeah. And so we're an American rock and roll band. That's what I call. We're just a rock and roll band. Doesn't have to be American. I don't like to leave anybody out, but we're a rock and roll band.
Oh,
that
absolutely.
has a little bit of a harder edge to them.
Right. And again, it is very, very well done. So again, the links to where you can get this, but it's funny nowadays because there's so many of the platforms where you can buy music, download music and everything. And I think a lot of people use the phrase, wherever you buy music online. That's kind of taken the place of back in the day when they would have the K-Tel albums advertised on TV.
Yep.
And then afterwards, there was always like the local station would always put up all the logos like Woolworth, Kmart.
Yep.
Yes. This album can be bought at these fine stores. They would always put on these fine stores at the end.
Not anymore, unfortunately.
Not anymore. Yeah, I know.
God,
think of all those places that have gone by the wayside too.
Sad. It's just sad.
It is. It's sad. It really is. But definitely get out and support some new music. One thing, and I think you'll agree with this too. You may be a little biased, but I wouldn't blame you for it. People nowadays, and the thing that frustrates me to no end, especially with being a DJ and having been somebody who played original music, I was very rarely in cover bands. I did a couple of cover bands just for a couple of charity gigs, but none of the bands I was ever in ever set out as our goal to be like a top 40 band or a classic rock band. We would start off with originals in our set, but as we would write another with covers in our set, but when we would write another original, a cover would go and the original would come in.
Right.
So that was always the idea. But the one thing that frustrates me to no end is the fact that you hear these people saying, man, there ain't no good new music out there anymore.
Spot on. Yep.
And you know what? I dedicate almost an hour of my 97 Underground show. I do a set called, I call all the segments of my show marathons. I have my, This Week in Rock and Roll History Music Marathon, where I talk about things that have happened in rock and roll, special dates, an album being released, somebody's birthday, I'll
Right.
play
Right.
4 songs from that. And then I'll normally do an interview. If I don't have an interview, then I go what I call into the back of the rack and I'll pull some real deep metal cuts,
Sure. Sure.
and then I have my Mid-Atlantic Music Marathon. That's normally about a half an hour of bands strictly from the Mid-Atlantic, indie
Okay.
bands now, or other unsigned bands from other regions. And then I also have a segment called Yes, Virginia, there is great new music out there. And that's normally a lot of the bands are European because, again, metal, hard rock is still huge in Europe. And one thing that we're talking about too is that, the UFOs and the Saxons come here and they'll play, Tally Ho, but they're still doing stadiums in Europe.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just
You know,
nuts.
and and the thing is that, and a lot of the bands from back in those days, you would think if you listen to the media now that Deep Purple hasn't had an album out in 50 years.
Right.
But you know
Right.
what? They have been, and I gotta say, and them and like a lot of the other bands from that era, I think now not really flying under the radar, but with the lack of attention they're getting from the media, they're putting out some of the best music of their lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you've heard these albums, I'm sure,
You know, here's my thing. Listen, we all, I think as human beings, we all like what we know. You know what I mean?
Right. Sure.
So you go into a bar or a fine establishment, and you have yourself a nice adult pop, beverage,
Yeah.
and a song comes on that takes you somewhere else. I get it. I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is, and I use this term very loosely when I say heroes, because I mean, to me, heroes are the people who fight for our freedom and
Certainly.
for some stuff. But our rock and roll heroes, let's just
Right.
say,
Sure. Yeah.
unfortunately, we all age, and and it's starting to the point where they're aren't touring as much or aren't playing as much, and they're putting out. And that's the other thing. And I'm kind of going off here, but some of these bands that we love are putting new music out, but people don't want to hear that. That's the worst part.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, that song's no good. I want to hear the song they did 20 years ago. Yet the song they just put out, like you said, is really good. But I played in cover bands, and the problem is people judge you on that. And so I kind of got out of music for a year, and when I got back into it, I was like, what the hell am I doing myself? And so I decided I was going to live and die by my own sword. Okay.
Yeah. Me too.
And I hear the same thing. If I go to a bar here and I go see a buddy's band, I'll talk to people who know what we're doing, going, hey, I really like what you're doing, but there's really no good music out there. And I'm like, well, see, that's where you're wrrong.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why there's no music out there is because you can't flip on the radio switch and hear new music, but it's there. Yep. And you got to go look for it. And I'll even, because you mentioned 97 Underground, the very first time they played us, that we were able to get on there, we posted it all over our social media. I had people writing me going, "Thank you so much. New music I've never heard." I mean, we got like, and again, I'm not saying we got thousands of people, but we got probably about a good 100 people that emailed us like, "My God, didn't know there's new music still out there. Didn't know so-and-so put a new album out. Didn't know this." So it's there. You got to look for it.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that was sort of the thought, because I along with our singer started Red Rain, and when I approached him with this idea, I was like, we're going to do it our way, and we may fail, and that's fine. And luckily, we've been able to stay above water.
Yeah.
Doing it quite a while. So, I had encouraged people to go try new music. And again, you might not like it, but you won't know till you try.
Exactly. It's like Green Eggs and Ham. No, I don't want to hear that band. No, I don't want to hear that band. They're actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Right.
I read, it's funny too, because and I know this is kind of maybe like a little kiss ass type thing, but LA Guns, like when they put out that song Speed, I really liked it. And I was talking to somebody about that, like, it's new. It doesn't sound good. I was like, it sounds like old LA Guns. Like, I don't, because it's not on the radio and it wasn't implanted every half an hour that they played it and planted your brain. Listen to it. It's a great song.
Right, right.
And I think that's what's lacking.
Mhm.
And but that's the world we live in, and you know, you got to find it's there. It's there.
Except put out a nice album last year.
Yep.
You know, Kansas put out a nice album a few years ago. Deep Purple's still cranking them out. You know,
still
being
put it out
close
there.
to 80.
Yep.
Some of those guys are.
I mean, and I know this is a little way back, but I mean, I ran out and bought the new Sabbath album when they came out with it. Was like 10 years ago now.
Mhm.
But that was a great album.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You're right.
And it sounded like Black Sabbath.
Mm-hmm. It sure did. It sure did.
It's there. And there's newer bands, obviously, but the bands we're talking about, again, unfortunately, they're on the way out. When I say on the way out, almost done with touring.
Yeah, yeah.
Not putting out new music, but touring. And so these up and coming bands, they're either going to take over the rock and roll spot, or rock and roll will be just something you hear, classic rock.
Yep.
Which is sad.
But I tell you, you know, I'm glad, you know, you agree with me that there is a lot of great stuff out there. You just got to know where to listen. Like listening to the Back of the Rack, the Michael Spedden Show, every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. on 97underground.com. That's where you'll find it, and you'll hear all these wonderful things. But even too, you know, the albums that are being put out, you know, are, I mean, I feel like, you know, if I filled a whole set, or, you know, a whole show, I mean, I could do 2 hours of locals.
Yeah.
You know, I could do 2 hours of that, and it would be a good sounding show. I mean, it's not like, you can tell they're a local band, or you can tell they're not that good. You know, they're good.
Right.
You know.
But again, that's subjective, and meaning, look, somebody's going to listen to it and go, that's not good. And they're going to say about us, and that's fine. You know, you don't have to like us. Just listen. At least take a listen, watch a couple videos, do something. You know, it's funny. My daughter, who's going to be 16, but over the years, I've been trying to teach her good music. Now, that's not an easy thing, but like her like the funniest thing was when we were younger, I remember like on one of the old channels, I was watching the Monkees. I love the Monkees.
Oh yeah, sure, sure.
And she caught on to it like that. So like her two favorite bands are the Monkees and the Beatles. Which,
perfect.
You know, the Monkees are the American Beatles. But anyway, but now we go to a vinyl store once every maybe 2 weeks. She buys a vinyl a week. I haven't tipped her into the Van Halen water yet. I'm trying. But you know, whatever Dad likes, you know, she's likes to shy away from a little bit. But she did come to me and buy Van Halen 1, but put a tear in my eye because you know that was my band. But you know, but she's into Billy Idol, you know, she's into Motown, which, my God, don't even get me started on that. Love Motown.
Oh, you know something, talk about the real deal.
Yeah.
Talk about the real deal. I mean, back in those days, and there were a couple of clubs around here that turned into metal clubs that my late uncle told me used to be Motown clubs, where, you know, I told him, because this was like 35 years ago. He'd say, where you been playing? I told him I played this room. He goes, oh God, I used to see the Temptations there.
Wow.
Back in the 60s. I used to see the Supremes, the Temptations, and the Four Tops all used to come through that club. And you know something, I mean, nowadays with, you know, the acts that are they were, you know, a lot of them were singing trios or singing quartets.
Sure.
But I tell you what, you know, they were doing their dance routines, and having done theater as a large man, dancing and singing at the same time is easier said than done, you know. But those guys, they were up there, they could do their parts, they knew all their steps, and they were the real deal. There was no auto tune. You know, you're not going to sing a song and hit a sour note and have your sound man tweak it.
Right.
I mean, those guys were spot on.
Very talented.
On point.
There is a documentary out. It was on Showtime. And I'm sure you can find it anywhere, Hulu or that. It's called The Making of Motown.
Oh, I got to look this up. Yeah.
You absolutely have to look it up. I am telling you right now, it's probably one of the better music documentaries I've ever seen. And and I won't go into it, but I mean, I won't go deep into it, but it's basically um, how Motown started and how they primed their acts.
Mm-hmm.
What you just said. I mean, they had Barry Gordy. God, I couldn't think of his name. Was basically used. He again, I don't want to give it all away, but when he was a young guy, he worked at a Ford factory, and he realized that every part played a part into the final product. And so that's what this is about. When he opened Motown, they had one room for wardrobe, one room for dancing, I'll stop there because watch it. But I'm telling you, I learned so much. Listen, growing up, being a Van Halen fan, I listened to Van Halen every single day of my life. I didn't listen to anything else. I was very closed-minded. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I mean, I liked Iron Maiden and Sabbath, but
Sure,
I got in my car, it was Van Halen. I didn't listen to the radio much, and I was very closed-minded when I was younger, and I still am. I mean, Van Halen to me is the greatest band in the world with David Lee Roth. But as I've gotten older, I'm trying to expand my music more than what it was, every day. And I lost years because I was a little, closed-minded and felt like I had to just fly the Van Halen flag, which I still do. But
sure.
But like I said, I'm opening up more to Motown, and I love big band jazz. Obviously, so yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's never too late to open those horizons and see what else is out there.
You're right about that. And I got to tell you too, and I could throw my 2 cents in too about those. There are some excellent on the streaming services documentaries.
Yes.
About music and all the things that went into them. I mean, some of the ones that I've really enjoyed, and I won't go on, but it's like there was one about the Wrecking Crew.
Saw that one.
That was excellent.
Excellent.
Muscle Shoals and the
I haven't watched that one yet. I need to watch that one. I'm writing that down here while I'm there. I've seen it, but I haven't looked at it yet.
Right. Yeah, that one's well worth it. There's a number of them about Leonard Skinner that were really good.
All those.
The other one, Hired Gun, it was about a lot of the
saw those.
Yep. That one was excellent. There was one about Chicago that I absolutely loved too.
Saw that one too, about Terry. What was the guitar player? Terry Kath.
Kath, yeah.
Yep.
That was excellent. And I love, another thing that I really enjoy too is not only, the music ones, but the ones about showbiz, the Catskills and the Borscht Belt.
Yeah.
If you've ever been out there, around the Woodstock area, I mean, not only did they have Woodstock, but of course they had the Borscht Belt, all those hotels and resorts where Milton Berle and George Burns and Jerry Lewis and Buddy Hackett, Dorothy, Judy Garland, Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., all of them came through that Borscht Belt circuit, and there was so much history out there. Again, that was part of the original intention of this podcast, was to try to capture as much of that as I could, and just hearing the stories and seeing the rooms and everything. I mean, I could sit and just listen to that for days.
There was I can't remember who it was. There was a comedian talking about the Borscht Belt not too long ago. I don't know much about that. I mean, I know I had heard a little bit about that through family history about all that, but yeah, I got to watch some of those too. I love a good documentary, and entertainment, whether it's acting or sports. Like what I watched the other day, which was a great one, was McEnroe. McEnroe it was a good documentary on John McEnroe.
I'd like to see that.
Yes, it was great. And that's another. When I grew up, I actually played junior tennis in the Mid-Atlantic areas and did all that. So that brought back a lot of memories to me. But music, I do have to watch Muscle Shoals. And then somebody was on. I was listening. I was here this weekend and I kind of flipped on Sirius on the radio, and I can't remember which shows let's do, but they were talking about there's a new Tom Petty documentary out.
Oh, I want to see that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think it's on Paramount Plus.
Hmm.
So I'll watch that as well. But yeah, I mean, so if anybody hears this and knows a good documentary, you can email me at redraininfo@gmail.com because I'm really always looking for good music documentaries, but
Right. Right.
entertainment itself will always work for me.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many good, they're so well done.
Yes.
They're
Yes.
so well done. I mean, I have yet to turn on one of the music documentaries and been like, click,
Yeah.
they always pull you in, and especially being a musician and having an appreciation of what it's like to really try to the struggle to work your way up, the struggle to get people to like you, and another thing I wanted to kind of talk to you about too is, when we were coming up,
Yeah.
in the days long before there was any kind of social media, playing in the clubs, and we had these things called flyers,
Yes.
and making flyers and handing them out to people, speaking face to face. I'm sure you had to do it, and I'm sure you did it quite a bit.
Absolutely. 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 Yeah. When I was younger though, see, I actually started my instrument late. So
Mm-hmm.
I missed a lot of um I wasn't I got into bands later than I probably wanted to or should have been, but I didn't
Yeah.
start playing drums till I was almost 15.
Oh, okay. Well, that's about
So,
average, I think.
well, I mean, I got these two guys that I grew up with in high school that really close friend of mine. They are unbelievable drummers, and I would just
Mm-hmm.
I would go there. I know them well, and I would go watch them in bands back in high school and watch them. And it was just watching them was so flawless.
Mm-hmm.
But but yes, when I finally got into a band, which was pretty much right out of high school, so it took me about 3.5 years to get into a band. But yeah, I mean, everything you see on like the Sunset Strip documentaries or everything else, the staple gun,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
you're postering flyers all over town.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that was a part of being part of getting to play back then too, was that not only were you expected to put on a good show, but you better have been out putting up flyers.
Yep.
That was expected. That was expected. And
Well, you know what was different, and I didn't mean to cut you
Mhm.
off, but you
No,
know what
no.
was different back. I don't know how it was in your area, but in the Richmond area,
Mhm.
bars would let you play. You'd have to take them a tape, and if they,
Mhm.
or something that they would listen to, and if they liked you, you played for the door.
Yes.
So you didn't get, that's the funny thing. That's what I love about bands today is these, and God bless them. And I swear if you can go to a bar and negotiate a price, great. But I
Mhm.
always felt like, you know what? I'd rather take the door and then you build it up as a big party because that's where the money was. And back then,
Right, right.
if you packed the place, you made money.
Mhm.
And bars don't do that anymore. They just don't. They're looking, obviously, listen, it's a different time and a different area, and I get it. But
Mhm.
every band wants to play every bar, and some bands may not be good enough to play the bar that they want to play. I don't know. That's not my decision.
Mhm.
But I always enjoy playing for the door.
Yeah, yeah. The door, definitely. You have to bring people in, and there's always the battle between the bands and the owners, who should be promoting and who should be getting paid what
Right.
and everything. But I mean, the reality of it is that if you're not bringing value to that bar or that club or whatever it is, if you're not bringing people in, they can't. I mean, the electricity, the bar, the paying of the employees, that doesn't fall out of the sky.
That's true.
I mean, you have to bring something in. I mean, no matter how good of a band you are, if you don't bring cheeks into the seats, you're not worth anything,
Well,
you
that was the
know?
beauty. That was the beauty because bars, I mean, listen, and I know in Richmond, like there was just bars lined up, rock bars. And so
Mm-hmm.
they gave you that's the thing though. They gave you a shot.
Right,
What
right,
you
right.
did with it was up to you. And
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
think that was the beauty of it is, and if you could make them money, listen, we all know that paying $5 or $8 at the door wasn't where the money was. So
Mm-hmm.
if you could bring in the people who would enjoy a beverage and, a one, two, couple more, whatever, and you could do that, they'll bring you back. But it was up to you. And see, now I think it's a little, again, I haven't done it in years, so this is probably out of turn for me to say, but I just know in the area that I am that now they're very selective of who plays. And I'm just like, give everybody a shot. Let them charge $5 at the door. And if they can bring it in, then you've got a band, you've got a winner. And if they don't book them again. But that's easy for me to say. I don't own a bar.
Exactly. And there's probably a heck of a big list of things that we even, left out.
Right.
Came to that. So, but I mean, you got to pay the bills, you're there to pay the bills. And that's why, hey, you can pack a place with karaoke. It's a shame to lose the bands, but that's what happens a lot too.
It's sad. It's sad because, and again, my brother had restaurants, and I get it. It's money. I understand that, and so I understand the bars. But the sad reality is it's not. It's the music business. It's not.
It is.
It's not. The music is secondary to everything else, and that I don't know. I don't know. I always tell people. Even now, like if I'm in a really bad mood or I just don't feel like talking on I can throw on my favorite Van Halen album and it calms me. I know that sounds funny.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it may be something from, but it's just like, you just sit and you listen to the music that you love, and it takes you away for a little bit.
It really does.
Just like a movie. That's what a movie does, entertainment in general, movie, a comedy show. It's, to me, my opinion is it's supposed to take you out of the everyday realm of the crap that you deal with every day to enjoy yourself.
Yep.
Music does that for me.
Exactly. Let me ask you this question here too, and this is something I ask everybody, and I'm sure you may have something to throw my way with this here. In all your years of performing, have you ever had any Spinal Tap moments?
That's a good question. I have not.
Okay. Then have you really been playing?
Listen, it's easier for the drummer because I don't talk.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't have to, and I don't sing. Yeah. So, but we've been very fortunate. And again, but see, that's kind of a crazy question because we're not on tour for 60 days in a row. You know what I mean? So we're lucky enough that we'll play one show and then we're either playing the next night and then it's a break, or we're or it's one show here, one show here. So we've been pretty lucky. We've been pretty lucky about that. So I'd have to say no. No
kidding, huh? Wow, you're like the
wait a minute. Well, wait a minute. My guitar player had one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. So yeah, tell us about that one.
We were in Cincinnati with Tesla. And he said Cleveland. Which, Cincinnati and Cleveland it's oil and water. Luckily, nobody really, they probably weren't paying attention to us anyway, but
right.
It wasn't a big thing. But that might be it. Like, oh, it's so good to be here in Cleveland when we were actually really in Cincinnati.
Well, you know what always made me mess them up when I was a kid, watching the NFL, they both had orange helmets.
Yes.
And I always used to get the Bengals and the Browns confused, even after they, not after they put the tiger stripes on the Bengals helmet.
Right.
But, before, when it was like, just the Browns, so, just their orange helmets. And then what confused me even further was like the Bengals played in Paul Brown Stadium.
Yep.
So, okay.
He owned both of them.
Yeah, right.
He owned the Browns and the Bengals.
He did.
Yeah,
so
crazy.
I can understand that, but that is funny. I mean, we had, if you go back and listen to past episodes, I could tell all about mine too, but everybody has something bad happen or something comical, but that's funny. That's funny. Just saying the wrong name and everything.
So I will give you a funny story. but this is not maybe Spinal Tapish. I don't know, but so our bass player is a big guy himself. I know you're a big guy.
Yeah.
And so we had played a show. I think it was Cincinnati. We were with Tesla.
Right.
So the next night was in Grand Rapids, Michigan. But we had left. So we had left the venue in Cincinnati. We went to the hotel, and as we're pulling the hotel, there was a father and son that I happened to notice, and we were still dressed in sort of our stage gear.
Yep.
And the father and son they were wearing Virginia Tech colors, which is quite funny, because us being from Richmond and all that stuff. So as they walked in, the father said, hey, are you guys in a band? Which, and we said, yeah. And we talked for him a little bit. And so he said, could we get an autograph, which is very nice. And so we said, look, let us go to our room. And please, here's our room number. Give us about 20 minutes. Let us just kind of do whatever. And we'll be happy to give you a CD. We'll give you a shirt. We'll sign it. They were very thankful. And in the meantime, we had ordered some pizza. So they didn't come right up. So I made myself a drink. So we had all had a slice or two of pizza, and I was having a bourbon, and then knock on the door. And it was the father and son, but my guitar players were gone. My guitar player and my guitar player singer weren't in the room. I think they had kind of wandered off. So it was just Larry and I, who's our bass player. And I'm standing there and we're talking to them. They're asking us questions. And I happen to look over, and Larry's like into this. Oh yeah. We've been touring. We've been doing this. And I look over and he's got pizza all down his shirt. I mean, there's pepperoni, there's cheese. And I just busted out laughing, and they're not paying attention to it. I'm the only one laughing. Like, does anybody see it? And I don't know. Obviously, you had to be there, but that's probably about, if you were there, it was one of the funny stories, because he was so serious, and he had a beard. Right. There was cheese in the beard, and But yeah, we listen. That's one of these little things. We have a good time on the road. It's little stories. It's not the big funny throw TV off the balcony type thing, but just little things.
Yeah,
I don't know, that story always just made me laugh, because you're trying to be this serious musician. Like, oh, we've done all these touring, and you're throwing out these names, and then you just got junk all over your shirt. I don't know. Makes me laugh every time I think about it. I don't know.
That's funny. So, well, Sammy, we appreciate you sitting down with us tonight and talking. Coming on Fowl Players Radio. Let's give you let's do what I call the shameless plug portion of the evening, where we you can shamelessly plug anything you'd like to shamelessly plug. We encourage shamelessness, and we do not want you to spare any shamelessness. So have at it.
Well, again, we're going to plug the band. It's redrainband.com, REIGN, redrainband.com. Facebook, we're Red Rain Band. Instagram, X, Red Rain Band, TikTok, Red Rain Band. So that's who we are. Go on YouTube. There's videos. There's official videos that we've done, and there's also a lot of live videos of us as well. YouTube, and again, it's Red Rain Band. And then you have all your downloadable music sites, and I don't know all of them, so I apologize, but
at these fine stores.
Yes, at these fine downloadable music sites. But we do know Spotify, we know Apple Music, we know Google Music, we know Amazon Music, and anything else you can download. So that's where we'll be. And then I'll get into the shows, where we'll be at Jurgles, Warrendale, Pennsylvania. And that is April 22nd. And April 23rd, we'll be at Tonawanda, New York, at the Riviera Theater up there. And then we pick back up March 29th at Ram's Head on Stage, where 97 Underground will be. We're looking forward to that, and we'll be seeing you there. So we're looking forward to meeting you in person as well.
Oh, absolutely.
And then the 30th, we will be moving to Ardmore Music Hall in Pennsylvania. And then May 1st, we sort of end that little week run at Tally Ho in Leesburg, Virginia. And then we get 2 dates off, and we finish the tour in Virginia Beach at Elevation 27th on May 4th. All those dates are with LA Guns.
Mm-hmm.
And as we are getting ready to do that, we're looking for our next tour as well. So
wonderful, wonderful. Well, folks, you heard it right here. Thanks again to Sammy Lee from Red Rain coming to join us today, and great to have the drummer out front here, huh?
I don't get much, but this is great. I enjoy this.
Well, great. It was great to have you. We appreciate you being willing to come on and tell us all about Red Rain. I encourage you folks to get out and give this album a listen. It's a great album. Yes, there is great new music out there. You got to follow me to find it, but you will find it if you keep following me and Red Rain. And remember, I will put links to their website and also to decoentertainment.com, so you can find out, places where you can get their merch. And you can also read their bio on their main website. And I'll also put up a link where you can get tickets to the Ram's Head show, Ram's Head on stage in Annapolis for April 29th. So again, it's been a pleasure having you, Sammy.
Thank you for having me. It's been a great time.
Oh, absolutely. Of course. And you have an open invite to come back anytime, my friend. I really appreciate you. And
I'll take you up on that.
Absolutely. And thank you all for listening, folks. We've had Sammy Lee from Red Rain here on Fowl Players Radio, and we will see you all next time. And thanks again for tuning in tonight. I hope you enjoyed our interview with Sammy Lee from Red Rain. Looking forward to seeing them with LA Guns at Ram's Head on stage in Annapolis on April the 29th. It's going to be a great show. Get your tickets if you go to the Ram's Head on stage website. You can get your tickets there for them in LA Guns. It's going to be a great show that night. Remember, Red Rain Band, REIGN band.com. And also decoentertainment.com. And again, we will link all of these things in the show notes of the episode. We thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Remember, hit that like and subscribe button. Show us some love. We'll see you later on.